The Digitech Screamin Blues is a digital recreation of the blues breaker style overdrive / distortion pedals. Like most Digitech pedals, it has a mixer out as well as a normal output, which apparently also has an integrated cab sim. It is built in a Boss style metal enclosure and is buffered bypass. It is optionally 9-volt battery operated or 9-volt DC powered. This pedal is off the market, but can be currently found for around $50 and upwards on Reverb in America, though I have heard that the prices are going up. Hello everyone, and today we are talking about the Digitech Screamin Blues pedal. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way. When it comes to overdrive pedals, different overdrive pedals are made for different purposes, and your gear affects the tone of them. Could be drastically, could be a little bit. So that's just something to keep in mind if you have, depending on what amp you're using, what the EQ is, and what guitar you're using, there could be a big change in what the pedal sounds like. So just keep that in mind with this pedal review, because it, it might not sound exactly the same, but this is to give you a general idea of what you can do. That being said, it's also not going to be a video where I go through every possible tone, especially with this one being that it has more controls than the pedal that it's based off of, or at least I think it's based off of, the Boss Blues Driver. That's what it's called. So let's get right into the pedal. We're starting off with the single coil Stratocaster style guitar, and we have the EQ, both of them set to noon. We have the gain set to 0 and the volume set to where it needs to be, so that this is effectively just a volume boost pedal. So yeah, the obvious difference between this and the Blues Driver is that this has a EQ control rather than just a tone control. Unfortunately, it doesn't have mids, but it does have lows and highs. So that's pretty cool. That's also a reason why I'm not going to be able to go through every tone, because I'm not going to flip through every lows and highs tone with every setting. That'll have to be for you to find out, because at the current moment, these sell used around like $40. That's how much I bought mine for. But I have heard these are going to go up in price, so if you like it, you probably should buy it soon if you can. Let's get started. So that's basically how it sounds with just a basic boost. There's not much to be said for it, but this is a digital pedal, because that's how this is Digitech, the digital division of DoD, or at least was. And so this is a digital recreation, which means that you're going to have less artifacting, which means like little clicks, pops, and grain in the circuit, because that's one thing that I noticed with the Blues Driver, is that it had a little bit of grain, even though you even sometimes when you had the gain turned all the way down, which is interesting because I believe that one is an analog circuit, and that's probably the reason why it's happening, but I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. We're gonna turn the gain up a bit so that you can hear that. So, I don't know if that's because if it's because I'm using single coils right now, but there's not a whole lot of gain going on even at this setting, obviously. But I expected at least a little bit of grit. Let's turn the gain up to noon and see what happens. Definitely getting this is like the overdrive setting where you're getting very slight overdrive. At least on my setup, this is how I'm getting it. It may be different for you because each pickup usually, depending on what kind of pickups you have, they can have different what's called output if you don't know, and some are louder than others, which means that they can be more powerful and thus put out more gain because of the volume and the height at which they are adjusted, can also make a difference. I haven't adjusted these since I got this, and it is a cheap guitar that I won at a not guitar fair, but just the fair. So let's turn the gain up and see, turn it all the way up, and then what's cool about these Blues Breaker pedals is that when you turn the gain all the way up, they can almost hold their own as a distortion pedal because of just how gainy they can get. Okay, playing was a little sloppy there, but that's okay. It's just a demonstration, so this one doesn't get as gainy, at least not with this guitar, as the Boss one, but that's okay as well. Because if you wanted a distortion, I suggest buying a distortion pedal. If you wanted a distortion pedal, you wouldn't buy the Blues Breaker, you would buy Boss DS1. Let's mess with the EQ a little bit and see how that affects it. I don't know what to do with the EQ. I don't know what people would want to hear with the EQ. I'm just not going to boost the bass because that makes it really rumbly and loud, and that's going to mess up the microphone quite a bit. How much is it cut? Alright, I'm just gonna move on because I don't know what to do with the EQ. So you can you can make it a little more, you can turn up the highs and, turn it into, a bit of a better sounding distortion. But like I said, you're probably not going to use this as a distortion. These pedals do work as great drivers for distortions, because normally how I use these pedals, I use them with is that they work as a boost with a little bit of grit for my clean tones, and then you always have them on and then boost into a distortion pedal to give them just a little more gain, volume, or power, however you want to see it. Anyway, let's move over to a humbucker guitar and see how much that affects it. Okay, so here we have a humbucker Les Paul style guitar. And let's see, we're gonna work our way back up the gain. So we're gonna start on a clean tone and a clean boost, and then work our way up to distortion levels again. So not much difference there because it's a digital pedal, so it's not gonna have too many artifacts. And yeah, so let's turn up the gain a little bit and see if we get gain out of this guitar. Even though I think that these pickups aren't actually much stronger than those ones, because this is also a starter guitar. This is the first guitar I ever owned, and I've had this for years. So I think this is like, before 2010 levels of power, which, I mean, doesn't really make a difference, but anyway. So, not hearing too much. Obviously, I'm not hearing too much gain. I heard a little bit of grit coming in, but not too much. So, it seems this pedal is a little less gainy than a blues driver, but like I said, that's okay. Let's turn up the gain to noon. Keep on wanting to go into the next section, but that's a drop D tone. That's why I keep on tuning my guitar. Okay. So, Um, Obviously, I think it's about the same amount of gain that we had on the other guitar. I notice on my other Les Paul humbucker style guitar that I think those humbuckers are more powerful because I get a little more gain through that guitar, but the guitar is tuned to drop C, so it's not as good of a as a comparison or representation, which is why I don't use it for the reviews anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. Let's turn the gain all the way up and see what we get. Alright, so as you can see, quite a bit of gain, but once again, not pushing the limits. But it's not meant to be a distortion pedal, so, you know. So personally, I actually really like this pedal. I don't use it because I'm scared to break it. But I do prefer having actual EQ instead of tone controls. And it's a digital pedal, so it doesn't have artifacting, and you're gonna get a lot more consistency out of it. But unfortunately, Digitech and DoD are no longer a company, so you can only find these used, and there's not, at the moment, any sign of them coming back. So I do recommend the pedal, but you gotta find it. They're not quite rare, but they're not everywhere that you go. So if you like the blues driver, I definitely suggest getting this one and trying it out at least. That's the best way to know if you're actually gonna like it, is by trying it yourself. But unfortunately, it's not gonna be as easy as the blues driver to test it out yourself. So yes, I do recommend the pedal, but, you know, take that how you will. If you found this informational or entertaining, please leave a like. If you want to see more guitar pedal reviews, please subscribe and check out the channel. We got quite a few more that we've done, and I'm hoping to do one every Wednesday. So, and also subscribe if you want beginner guitar lessons, but if you're watching this, I don't expect you to be a beginner guitar player. So, yeah, I'm gonna say thank you and bye-bye.